Welcome to another edition of Cooking with Kacy. Today we are going to make a fall spiced pumpkin bread. I don't know about you, but in the fall, pumpkin is one of my absolute favorite things to eat. And I like it no matter what it's in or how it's cooked. So that's what we're gonna make today. First, we're gonna heat our oven to 350 degrees. And then we are gonna start by mixing some of our dry ingredients together, okay? So I have a half a cup of all-purpose flour. And then to that, we're gonna add 1 1/4 cup of whole wheat flour. We're gonna add in 1 1/2 teaspoons of baking powder and 1 teaspoon of baking soda. Okay. To that, we're also going to add 2 teaspoons of pumpkin pie spice. Smells so good. We're going to add in 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Okay, so we're going to mix those together. We're just basically mixing our dry ingredients in one bowl, and then we're going to mix our wet ingredients in the other bowl. Okay, set that to the side, and then we'll come over here and mix our wet ingredients. So to this bowl, I'm going to whisk together 1/2 cup of melted margarine. Then we're going to add in 1/2 cup of sugar. And then we are going to add in 1/2 cup of honey. I've already measured that out as well. Honey is so hard sometimes. It's so thick. A little secret is if you coat whatever you're measuring in with just your spray, it makes it come out so much easier. Okay, there's that. And now we're going to add in 2 cups of pumpkin puree. This is just canned pumpkin. You can use fresh if you have fresh. We're just going to use canned. Super available right now and really cheap. You can find it for as low as about $1 a can. So really inexpensive and a really great way to add some extra nutrition to something like this. Pumpkin, because it's an orange vegetable, it contains lots of vitamin A. Super good for you. So there's 1 cup. So 1 can is not quite enough for 2 full cups. So you'll have to use a little bit of a second can of the smaller cans. These are the 15-ounce cans. Or if you buy the bigger can, you'll have your 2 full cups plus a little bit left over. Okay, we get that in our bowl. Yep, so that's our pumpkin added. Okay. Next, we're going to add 1/3 cup of olive oil. That measured here, so I'm just going to add that in. And then we're going to add in 2 eggs. I'm just going to use this measuring cup to put my eggs in before I put them in my mixing bowl, just to make sure I don't get any shells in there, or just in case the eggs were to be bad or something. We don't want to put those directly into whatever we're preparing. Okay, so now we're going to add those in. Okay, and then we are going to whisk this together. Okay, so this goes together super quick and easy. Now obviously I had pre-measured all of my ingredients out, but that really doesn't take too long. And if you go in and get your stuff prepared, you're ready to go when it's time to put your recipe together. Before I do anything, I always like to make sure that I have all of my ingredients out so that I'm not constantly have to stop and go backwards and hunt for something. So just a little pre-preparation saves you a little bit while you're actually baking or cooking. Okay. Mix that together. Now, we are going to blend in our dry ingredients with our wet ingredients. We are going to just blend them until they are moistened. So I'll add a little bit, then I'll give that a stir. And then I'll add a little bit more. This smells so good. If you want to make your home smell good, this is a surefire way to do it. The pumpkin pie spice and that pumpkin, it will sure smell like the holidays in your home. All right, just a little bit more. All that added. And then we are just gonna mix this until this is all mixed together. Do you all know that Illinois is actually the top producer of pumpkin in the world? So who would have thought? This time of year you see pumpkins on doorsteps and just about everywhere. All right, that is all ready to go. And we'll have an 8x4" loaf pan that I'm going to give a really good spray because I don't want my bread to stick. So I'm going to make sure to get the sides and the corners really good as well. Okay. So then I'm going to pour this in here. This is kind of a thick batter. Pumpkin is kind of really thick. So this recipe will take a little longer to cook. Once we get this all in here. This next step, once we get this in here, is optional. It just adds a little something extra to your bread. Okay, so I'm gonna get that in here. And I'm gonna make sure it's good and spread out, all even. Use my extra, I always like to have an extra spoon. That way I can make sure all this goodness is off of here. Okay. We're gonna give it a little tap down. Should be putting bubbles, so that's kind of what it should look like. There's your bread, ready to go in the oven.
Beautiful color too.
We are going to add our last ingredient. We've got 1/3 cup of chopped walnuts, and we are just going to sprinkle those on the top. Now this is the part you can leave out. If you don't like walnuts, or if your family doesn't like walnuts, you could certainly leave those off or only do it on half of the bread. I love walnuts. They're super good for you. Good brain food. If you ever notice that walnuts look like a little brain, they're very good for you. This is going to go in that 350-degree preheated oven for an hour. And then once that hour is up, we're going to take it out, cover it with tin foil, and let it cook for another 20 minutes, and our pumpkin bread should be ready to go for us.